Well, hello, happy Wednesday. That means it's Canva Corner, everyone, here in the Wanderman Not Lost Wanderers Club Facebook page. Today, we are going to jump into 5 tips. That'd be 5 tips for building your own logo. There are a lot of opportunities and a lot of choices you have when you're building a logo. You can build it your own in Canva, and we're going to see how easy that is today. And then there's a lot of companies you can go to too. There's like Fiverr is out there, and we had our logos designed at 99 Designs, which was a wonderful experience. So a lot of different ways you can do it. But if you want to do it yourself and be a part of building your own legacy, then you can just do it right here in Canva. And we're going to go through a little bit of that today as we walk on. Let's just go down here. As a reminder, once again, for those of you new to Canva, Canva is a completely free program. Go to canva.com. You get the basic program, which is filled with things where you can literally, if you're not going to really do a ton of things in Canva, you can survive easily with the standard program, or you can upgrade to Pro, which is $12.95 a month for up to 5 people, and then the price changes as you scale up from there with users. But you get access to so much more. It's a much more powerful and robust product, especially if you're going to be doing things in lines with marketing and branding, especially for your team or your company or yourself. So Canva Pro, very small expense you can add to your budget, and a great addition to helping you improve and elevate your game. So let's talk about, before we jump in and actually into Canva and start looking at logos, let's talk about logos for just a second here. I'm going to give you those 5 tips before we jump into that. The first tip I want to give you is I want you to avoid following trends in logos. There are a lot of things that you will think of when you think of a logo, iconic logo. Jan, throw out a couple of iconic logos that you can think of.
Well, obviously the Nike swoosh is the first thing that pops into mind.
Right, or the Apple, right?
The Apple.
There's a lot of them out there. Nothing wrong with those logos. Obviously, they are so memorable and they are so well done that you immediately think of them when you think of logos. What I want you to do is not think, I want to try to do something like the swoosh or like the Apple, because you're going to find you're in a kind of a copy kind of mode, and your mindset, you'll box yourself in from the very start on what you want to look for and what you want your brand to be or your logo to be. So what you need to do is just be introspective. Think about what your business is all about, and then try to figure out what is the icon or what is the feeling that can come out of what you are trying to actually deliver to your consumer. Start there as opposed to the other way around. Another thing I want you to think about, part of branding, of course, is colors and all of that type of stuff, fonts and all of that. That's all super important in the process of building your logo out. So think about those things, but once again, think about the emotion. Tip number 2 is take the minimalist approach. Less is more with logos always. If a logo is too complex or too minute in the detail, you can't, first of all, you can't use it a lot very easily over multiple mediums, and it doesn't have that instant message. Here's a good example. Here's Apple. In 1976, Apple started out with this wild, it's hard to see on this, but maybe you can expand your screen a little bit. And it showed a person sitting under a tree with an apple sitting above it, like the law of relativity, right? So our gravity. So the apple was going to fall. Super complex. It was a really beautiful logo, but come on, look at that first logo in 76 compared to what the Apple logo actually turned into. And you can see why that logo is so memorable now. Another thing you should think about as you're building your brand, especially the icon of your brand, which in Apple's case, it's kind of both. I mean, there isn't really an Apple font. I mean, there is, but you don't really see it in their name. The Apple is really just their name, right? But think about things that might be able to morph over the years. So think long term when you're thinking about your logo. For example, their Apple has morphed since 1976. They had this rainbow apple in 77, which really was supposed to actually bring more awareness to children and education and that type of thing. That's what the colors really on there, kind of the primary colors. And you can see, you know, they went through a couple different iterations. In 2017, it kind of went to a much, much more basic style. And I didn't put it on here, but I was reading an article about brands, where these classic brands will be in the middle of this century. And I should have put it on here, but it's easy to describe. The Apple kind of goes away. I mean, obviously this is just conjecture, right? But the Apple kind of goes away, just keeping in the simplistic form in this. It becomes a circle with just that little bit of the apple bitten out of the circle. And the color of it was red. So the red symbolized the apple, but the icon itself turned from this apple just into a very simple shape that you all still recognize. When I saw that, I thought to myself, that's the Apple logo. You know, but it morphed again to a different thing in this, fantasy. This is what's happening down the line world. So take a minimalist approach whenever you're thinking about your logo, even if it does include your name or the name of your team or whatever it is. You're going to want to make it as simple as possible. This is crucial when building your logo. When you're building your logo out, always do it first in black and white. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, you're going to have branding colors that you're going to want to use, and that's going to be great on a lot of your printed materials, your business cards, all of that type of thing. But you will be surprised as you get in here and start playing around in Canva how often you need, particularly, a white logo of your stuff. So your colors completely go away because you have a dark background. So you need to have something where your logo is going to pop. So if your logo looks really great if in purple and yellow, that's fantastic. But if you convert it to black and white and it doesn't still have that same punch because what the emotion of that logo was the color and not the actual design, then you're going to be in trouble, because if people are going to print things out, they're usually going to print them in black and white. So you really want to focus on building it in black and white, and then you can pop in your color. For example, now this is kind of funny. I use these as to a point here. All these social media icons, you're probably never going to see in black and white because they're only online stuff. They have total control over where these things go. Typically, it's on a light background, so the colors actually work. So all of these logos that you see here, a lot of them you're going to be really familiar with, look fine in black and white or grayscale, without color. But then, when they pop their color in, they become obviously a lot more vibrant, and colorful, but they all still very much work either way. So make sure that you are designing in black and white with your color in mind for the future. That's going to be a big help for you. The fourth tip here is giving your logo a deeper meaning. Now, I have been an Audi car driver for, probably 15 years now. I love Audis. I love the power in them. I love the style of the cars. I love everything about them. Doing a little more research on Audi, and this was one of those things where you just wonder if things happen for a reason. And I think I certainly believe that. I know, Jan O'Brien, you believe that things happen for a reason. The Audi rings look very classy to me, right? I've always been very, I've always connected with this logo. Well,
why four?
I just like the feeling of that logo. It's about connectivity. I just love it, right? So doing research on the Audi logo, get this, kids. The Audi logo is not some random thing. No, this is all a thought process. Back when Audi was formed, the four of the largest car dealers in Germany merged together to join into one company called
That's
Audi.
why there's four. I just said, why is there four?
That's why there's four. And the company was called the Auto Union. And I guess somehow in the way that is actually spelled in German comes out, with the Audi is the name of the thing. Now, here is where the things happen for a reason comes into the pictures. Here are the names of the four car companies. This blew my mind and made me really understand why I love Audi so much. There is DKW, Horch, Audi was one of the companies, and get the name of this last car company that merged. Wanderer.
No way.
Wanderer. Cracked me up when I read that. I'm like, well.
You'll always be in an Audi now.
Yeah, no Audi. Right? So anyway, I love the Audi logo because clearly you look at that and there's meaning to this logo deeper than just the four rings that are there.
That's cool.
And then the last tip is make this scalable. When you are doing a logo, you need to really think big, and you need to think, hey, what's my logo going to look like in Times Square someday when my
Nice.
company is so huge?
I can see our globe in Times Square. That's
Right.
cool.
Exactly. A really good example of this that pertains or goes back to real estate is Prudential. The
Yeah.
Prudential Rock was at the top up there with that. Oh, it's still up there. It says question mark.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah, it has been on top of that top square in Times Square for God, probably 25 or 30 years. They've been up there, and I remember very distinctly when I was recruiting for Prudential. That was in the the recruiting presentation. Yeah. It was in the
96% recognition of that.
Yeah,
logo.
that's the whole point. You need to find something that is going to be recognizable and easy for everyone to say, hey. Now, the interesting thing about the Rock, and then we're going to talk about this in just a second, is that they have created a icon that traveled through all the different divisions of their company, right? The real estate division, the insurance division, et cetera. So a lot of things to think about when you're designing a logo. And I think a lot of people just jump in and do it without really taking it all in and thinking about the bigger picture.
To that point, can I just add one thing? Because this is brilliant. I love these 5 tips. And in one of our courses in Connecting Your Real Estate Business, we actually talk a lot about this, that you don't go just hire, or you don't just jump in and go pick something out. You've really got to do that work about your values and who are you and the color piece. And, you don't just go hire someone, if you were going to hire someone, and just say, design me a logo.
Right. Well, you can't. You have to give them something, right?
You've got to do the work first about who are you, what do you stand for, what's your business all about, and how does that then evolve using these 5 tips into something that, like, you could tell an Audi story later.
Yeah.
You could tell, like, what we put a lot of effort into. We did hire someone to help us because now, Matt, I don't know, Matt, you probably could have done all that now, but back then you didn't. And we knew we wanted something that had kind of a path, and we like the globe, right?
Right. So let's jump in there and let's talk about our logo,
oh,
Jan.
Thank you. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When Jan and I first got together to talk about forming the coaching company, Jan had already actually started down the path of a coaching company, and it was going to be called Heart, Mind, Body. Heart, Mind, Body Coaching.
Heart, Mind, Business.
Heart, Mind, Business. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I knew there was a B.
HMB coaching, because I wanted to be a heart-centered. It's mindset and business. That's right. That was my thought process. It still is, by the way. So
yeah, of course, that's the thing, and actually, as it comes to be, that plays into our Wandering But Not Lost logo
it
too.
Does.
So I was creating the brand Wandering But Not Lost for more of a kind of a travel type of a wanderer type of thing. Well, we decided to merge our logos together. I mean, to kind of merge together and
our 2 ideas, our 2
and put them under one name. And Jan and I were actually wandering one day, and Jan's like, you know what? Why don't we just make it WBNL Coaching? And it was an awesome day. We had the best time. We were doodling on napkins in a restaurant. Like, that's a great story to tell, right? So that's kind of how that all came about. But when you think of your logo, think of it in a couple different components. There is your icon, which in our situation is the globe. There's your verbiage or your text, which would, like for a real estate agent, typically will be the realtor's name or the team name on there. And then there can be a tagline as well. Like on WBNL Coaching, our tag is Align, Connect, Prosper. So if you're going to add a tag to, now, first of all, let me say, we have a WBNL logo that sits alone without even using the Align, Connect, Prosper. So you can make it both ways. But so there's those 3 elements. There's the icon, there's your verbiage, and then there's your tag. And you want to be able to use all of these 3 things either together or separately, or, you know what I mean? You think about them all as one unit, but think about them all individually as well. For example, our globe is the icon for every business unit or every product that we actually build out. So we can use the globe separately as an icon, which we use all the time. Wandering But Not Lost has the globe to the left. WBNO Coaching, our premier program, Real Estate Team Builder, has the globe on it. Our podcast, the Wandering But Lost podcast, also is branded with the globe. So everywhere you see that globe is some division or some course that's connected back to WBNL or Wandering But Not Lost Enterprises. So it is the constant between all of our different business ventures. right? So think about it that way. To me, our globe, we obviously wanted to create something that was a global process, something that was available to everyone, right? So these are the words, right? Because Jan and I went through this whole thing with Post-it notes and all of this thing, right? I look at the path on here as not only as a place for wandering, right? But this actually, if you want to talk about a deeper meaning, and to be fair, this was not how we came up with this because someone designed this for us. But in retrospect, this path was the path that Jan and I were on the day that we decided to create WBNL coaching. And look where that path leads, right to your heart, right in your heart, mind, and your business. So there's a lot of things you can actually read into a logo as your business actually progresses. I love this globe. And I'm going to tell you something. You need to talk about scaling and thinking big. What sold me, and then ultimately Jan, on this particular logo was the designer put this globe on a building, and she gave us that picture, and it was the coolest. You felt like your business was alive.
It had arrived. It
was awesome. So I will suggest very strongly here in Canva, because as you know, you have a million photographs in here. All you need to do when you have your logo, or when you're testing your logo, get one of the photos of a building or something and slap your logo on it and see what it looks like. Because I'm going to tell you, you're going to feel like, oh my God, this thing is real. This is what it's going to be. And this is what
that picture. I use that sometimes.
I know, it's really
go. Yeah, that's it. Boom.
That was the coolest thing. So think of those things. I usually, honestly, I'm not a big fan of taglines. Align, Connect, Prosper works so well with what we do with coaching and WBNL coaching that we rarely use our logo without that tagline. Mm-hmm. It's just a part of our thing. Plus, being just 3 words and the dots that are there that kind of connect the words or in between the words, it's not too cluttered. So once again, it's not going overboard. It's not too cluttered with visual. You can still see the name of the company. So a lot of those things to remember. Before we jump into just kind of looking at a couple of logos and what you can do in Canva, also think about the size and scale of your actual logo, no matter what size it is. Think about the font that you're going to choose for your lettering. It needs to be something that you can read. A lot of times you can pick something that's really, really beautiful, like a very thin font that looks very elegant or very, very professional, but it will get completely lost when you start putting it onto marketing.
What about variations of the size, like stacking versus
that's a good point. I didn't put any of our stacked logos on here, but we do have this in stacked version too. And what stacked basically means is that the icon is actually sitting above or below, depending on how you're going to do it, of your verbiage. So we do have
for different things.
Yeah, you can use it for different things. I almost always use the side-by-side logo. It just usually fits better in places, but there's a lot of times where the stacked one does work in a better use. Like I said, I don't really use it all that much. So once again, as with all of our tips, there are a trillion Canva templates already built out that you can jump in and utilize. And, you might even like one of them that's there. Throw your name in there and you're done. Bing, bang, boom, right? Or you can start playing around and building your own template, or you can just build from scratch. So any of those things, obviously, as we talk every week, are accessible for use. So let's jump into Canva here for a second.
I like it. You going to design a logo? Do you have an idea of something?
Well, I've got a couple little things I've been thinking about, but it's real simple because I don't want to go down. I don't want to lead the witness. Let's put it that way. I want to show you what you have available in here, but I really want you, when you're building your logo out, to sit down, like to Jan's point, and really go through the process and think about what's going to be the thing that when you see it, that it's going to be your brand. Like our globe is WBNL. That's it, right? And we use it a lot, like I said. So before we actually even get into the logos, let's talk about the pro version of Canva for a second. Okay. There is a brand folder in here called Brand Kit. If you go to Brand Kit, you can load all of your logos and banners and anything you use on an ongoing basis over and over again. So we have all of our stuff in here. If you're familiar with our WBNL 365, there's a 365 Business Builder. I mean, we have all sorts of different versions. Here's our WBNL coaching that is without the tag. Yeah. Oh, that was a thing. When we originally designed our logo, we did. It was we designed it in color. Our colors for WB, or excuse me, Wandering But Not Lost, were this blue and green, and that was to represent earth and air and water and that. We rarely use the color version. I'll just tell you, I like it, but it just for me anyway, that grayscale and the white,
It's
just
more like a silvery platinum color. I love
yeah,
it.
it's a beautiful gray. It really is. So all of those are there, and then you kept your brand colors. Now you clearly wouldn't have this many brand. Well, you might have this many brand colors. We use almost all these colors in one sense or form. You know, back up here at the very top was our green and blue.
Yeah.
But just know that, you know, we use purple and this tomato color for our team builder. So our different products have different colors. So, but the nice thing is about the branding kit here is you load your brand colors in here, and then when you go up to change the colors, and we'll look at it in just a second here, the font color, your brand colors are already there, so you're not constantly putting in the hex code or whatever there.
Super useful.
It'll show your different brand fonts. We chose Railway as our brand for our font type for WBNL coaching. So we use the Railway Heavy and Railway, just regular Railway. Now, if you have a font, you can upload it. So if you have a font that you are going to use for your thing, even if a font you like, you can upload it to Canva, and you have a whole nother font that's in here. For example, Jan and I we were a part of starting a company back in 2018, Home Connect America. The font that we chose for Home Connect America was Nexa Bold. So I uploaded Nexa into our brand kit. It showed up in all of your Canva designs, so you can actually just choose your brand font right there. So that is a big, huge plus of having the pro version, just that alone, or this whole thing really alone, because everything is all here together, and it makes it easy for you to build things out and always be consistent with your brand and your font and your colors. All right, so let's jump back over here, and we are going to search for it this way. We're going to go up here and we're going to search for logos. Now, of course, because we love Canva, there are 10,000 million logos that are in here.
This is where you go down the rabbit hole of like, do I like this? Do I like that? And that's why I think it's so important for you to already sort of have the color scheme in mind and do some homework on what the colors mean and already know what you're looking for. You have an idea, but this then gets you into creative space to start thinking about things. Then you can design things even bigger. You can take something and make a variation of it, right, Matt?
That's right. Absolutely. And you can see, all of these, a lot of these they're very colorful. I'm not shying anyone away from color. I just want you to think of the big picture and where you're going to use your stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Think about your icon too. Apple, we already looked at. Apple is their icon. Is there really their whole logo? Nike, really, there is a Nike logo that says Nike. Everyone can see that. The swoosh is really the icon that goes with that. Coca-Cola, you think of Coke, they have that round, thing with Coke in the middle and that little ribbon that goes through. That's their icon, but they also have a separate logo that's just their name, Coca-Cola. So think about a lot of different ways you actually use your logo when you're building something out. So like I said, this goes on and on and on and on and on. Now, I saw one yesterday when I was playing around in here.
You were helping me with the design on using the 4-leaf clover for O'Brien team in Florida. We still have to kind of perfect that.
That was kind of cool. Actually, there was one in here. We'd have to find that. Actually, let's go there, Jan. Well, yeah, what did we call that?
I think you put it in. Oh, just try O'Brien real estate team or something. I don't know if you called it that. But I saw it in our designs the other day because I was like, ooh, we got to get back to that. It'd be in our designs, yeah. But I don't know. That's the challenge. It's like you have to remember what you called it. And to this point, I think it's important to name your designs in Canva to be really all about. Matt, I noticed that you 100% organized our folders. I was in here yesterday and I'm like, what? Where did all this stuff go? But now you have these master folders and then folders within the folders. Is that what
Jan was one of the most
right there. See it?
Organized people I have ever met in my entire life, and she shames me all the time about my lack of organization. in Canva. Matt, why don't you title these things?
But now I'm like, wow, holy crap, it's going to fall into WBNL coaching, Wandering But Not Lost, the O'Brien Robbie team. I'm like, wow, that's
So I spent a little time doing my organizing here. So yeah, so Jan's going to be building a team in Florida. She was looking at Dunedin, which is a little town on the coast north of Tampa that is highly Irish, correct?
Yeah, but I still want to use the Celtic. The four-leaf clover.
Right.
Has a lot of meaning in my family, and it's going to be kind of my sister's getting her license and so forth. So I like the idea of O'Brien Real Estate Team using the four-leaf clover. So we're just playing with some designs.
Yeah, and you can see as we've gone down, there's a lot of different ideas that we put into looking at this. And Jan built. You built up.
We're not seeing it. If you opened it.
Sorry about that.
Still seeing them.
I had switched screens again. You always have to go in here and switch back. There we go. Now you can see it.
Yeah, and so I think it's going to be more about just the Tampa area, Tampa Bay area, Wesley Chapel, Tampa Bay area. Yeah, so it's really kind of fun because I started playing with it. I'm not really into this whole design, and I was looking at different things because, you can go in and this was from scratch, right, Matt? So I just put in some things and some fonts, and then I went over there to when I was playing with this, and then you started doing some things with it. I went to the artwork, and I put in four-leaf clover.
You can go into elements here.
Mm-hmm.
You can put in four-leaf clover.
There it is, and then
bam, there's a trillion things to choose from.
Then you can go, so it can be everything from a color to, like you're saying, a grayscale to a minimalist sort of look.
Yeah. So, for example, let's go back. I actually love this clover right here with the different color. This kind of fade from orange to green. I think that's really pretty. Mm-hmm. So let's group. Okay, first of all, when you're grouping, here's the trick to grouping. Let's do a little Canva pro tip with grouping here. If you want to group everything and something together, you have to group them all together at the same time. So, for example, Jan just had her name and this group together, which actually is not even. So let's even that up. So let's go here. We'll center that. There we go. Move this out a little bit. Maybe we'll make this a little bit lighter. So it's kind of
so the thing pops out more.
Yeah. So if you want to group anything, which is really handy, so that way when you group something together, elements together within Canva, then you can resize them and they all resize the same. So it makes it very easy here. So all you do is you hit your shift bar and you select all the three things and then you hit group. Now they're all one unit and you can go, woo, woo. You can make them as big and small as you'd like.
So another thing for real estate pros here is that you can have your logo. You got to check with your company, your state. So you could potentially design your own logo, and then you have to always put it with your broker. So you end up having O'Brien Real Estate Team, and then the brokerage that you're with has to accompany everything you do. So you can never, unless you are a broker yourself, you obviously clearly have to always have your broker. It doesn't have to be incorporated into your logo necessarily. It just needs to be like the O'Brien Real Estate Team at XYZ Realty.
Right. Here's a little tip. Like, for example, I really do like this logo. I think it's kind of cool on here, the way this is positioned. Now, to me, this clover here is pointing away from the logo. It's not feeling encompassed and incorporated. Mm-hmm. Easy fix to that. Click on that. Go up here to flip, and you're going to flip this little baby around. And you see how the feeling of that changed just by changing the direction of that of the stem of that clover?
I do like this with the hearts, the clover.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of has the whole thing. I really think this is very pretty, Jan. Okay. I'll tell you something about a real estate logo that you really want to think about. Obviously, it's great to think about an icon, but real estate teams, for the most part, where are you using your logo? You're using your logo on your business cards. You're using it on your website. You're using it on any of the email marketing you're doing out. You're using it on social media. Let's see, where else would you flyers when you're doing that? You're using it. You're probably not going to really need to focus on creating an icon that you're going to want to use somewhere down the line. I don't know. Maybe you are. Maybe you're going to go. Maybe you think you're going to open a brokerage someday, right? If that's the case, then maybe you need to start thinking about that early. And first of all, if Jam was going to open a national or international brokerage, it probably wouldn't be called the O'Brien Real Estate Team. So you know what I mean? She'd
No
probably be
worries,
starting
that's
from
not
scratch.
happening anytime soon.
Yeah, she'd probably be starting from scratch anyway. So I guess what I'm trying to
Yeah.
communicate here is that really you should really think of your thing as being kind of one unit. So in this particular case, this will work out very well. Now, Clover by itself really is going to be hard to brand to you because Clovers are a little bit more common, right? It's something that is not that's you think of a Clover and you think of Jan O'Brien, although I do because she's the one of my only true Irish friends. So, but anyway, so you can do a lot of different things with the logos, and as far as changing colors and just kind of creating your own thing. Now, did you say you created this pretty much from scratch? You went and you found your element, right?
Yeah, no, I just kind of went in and started looking at Clovers, and I was trying to find a font that looked a little bit more of the Celtic variety, or just something that I thought was a little more Irish, Celtic style, whatever.
And it's really cool. I like it. So let's go over here and just pull this one up real quickly so you can see. This is a logo that's already in.
So it takes your elements and then flips
and
it
puts your name in here. So
here, that's cool.
Now, obviously, okay, so we're going to ungroup this. Those are all grouped together. Obviously, obviously, Jan does not own a real estate company, so we're going to take that out, right?
And I can put my Clover back.
You can put your Clover right in there. So a couple ways to do that. Let's go back over here. Oh, actually, that redid your other one, so we want to switch this back. This actually copied over your other print.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So let's remember that when we'll put it back so it's there. But let's go in here. Actually, let's just pull this. We'll copy this, and we'll pretend it's the other one. Go in here and paste. And then you can resize this little guy.
That's really cool, Matt. I didn't know you could do this.
Yeah, put them right in there like that. So that's something you can.
That's not bad either.
There you go. So
but then I can change the font. If I didn't like the font, I could.
Well, here, what was the font that you were using?
It
was Fel English.
There you go.
So we'll highlight. We'll go up here. That should be
Maybe there's even a better one. Or, like, to your point, I didn't realize I could go get my own font or find a font that's even more.
That's right. You're going to find when you are in Canva that there are a lot of fonts that are not widely used fonts that are in here, and it can be a little frustrating sometimes. So there you go. Now I think that's a little far apart, but obviously whoever designed this didn't think that, but I do. So, but you can just kind of put it together. You can make this green if you want it, whatever you want to do. Like I said, this is literally open to whatever you want to do as far as the logo goes. Just remember, it's something that you are going to need to stick with. So give it some thought through, because once you're branded, you should stay branded. Our WB&L logo, let's get back to that. So really, do you have any other questions while we're in here, Jan? Because it's really
no. But now I didn't even realize the things you just said. So it's really cool.
Yeah, you can do a lot in here if you just get used to the way Canva works.
Yeah, you can start with a blank screen, or a blank canvas, or you could pull up one of those templates and make your own variations. And one of the things when you were in there, if you didn't notice it, is that you can keep duplicating. One thing that's very useful when you're in Canva, like to navigate around, is that if you find something, then you want to go play with it, you make a copy of it, and then all of a sudden inside of your one project, you have 5 variations of the one thing, and then you can just keep tweaking it and seeing which one you like and compare. And that's what we were doing, was we were playing with that logo.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, you're going to want to be consistent with your branding. So once you pick your logo, that will be the logo you use across all platforms. So think about all those things like we talked about. Think about the five things that we discussed today. Take a minimalist approach, be creative, don't get stuck into trends, design it in black and white. That's super important. Develop a deeper meaning. I think that the deeper meaning is the larger you get and you can explain the logo to people will mean something to your clients, but it really means something to you. So your logo is a very personal thing, and you want it to be memorable and a recognizable thing, but also it really should get you. You want to be able to wear your stuff. You want to be able to wear your logo. I was looking all over to find out where the apple came from in Apple. And there really is no definitive answer to that, no matter where you look. Some people say it is like the apple falling from the tree. Some people take it all the way back to the Garden of Eden, the apple in the Garden of Eden. When Steve Jobs was asked about it, he said, "I just like apples." So, so
That's
you
a
know,
good word, like there's a bite out of the apple. You know what? It's just like art. Sometimes you can think of it as almost it's an art piece of art or an
it
icon,
is.
and it could have its own meaning. I mean, usually the person who created the art has a meaning behind it, but then it's the interpretation of it sometimes that is cool. Music,
I'll tell
lyrics,
you one of the things about the apple. The reason why the apple became the big icon and got so big is because when it was a smaller item, it looked like it got sometimes confused as other fruit, a cherry or something else, right?
oh
And
yeah,
that bite out of the apple was another way to let people know that that was
yeah,
an apple. So you know what I mean. There's so when you really go in and start doing some investigation on some of these logos, that
very cool,
there's it's not just hey, let's have an apple be our thing. No, there's a lot of thought that goes into the whole
very
process.
cool.
So, anyway,
Great
so I hope
tip,
this.
man. This is a great tip. I learn every week with this. I'm so excited you're doing this because it's like I'm like, okay, Matt's gonna teach us stuff today. I'm gonna go learn.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, cool. I mean, we you know what? Let's not even pretend like we're going to do 15-minute tips because Jan and I cannot talk for 15 minutes, and this doesn't work. So, 35 minutes into this tip, I hope you got
You
something
were
out
all
of it.
prepared. You were coaching people today, not just sharing a quick tip.
Yeah,
I mean,
and by the way,
design a logo. You had to give them all the. I mean, it was brilliant. Thank you.
by the way, people, all of the presentation today built in Canva. So
Of course.
there you go. All right. So listen, you get out there, go play around with your logo today. If you build a logo, please add it to our group. Let everyone see what your logo is. I'd love to see people go in there and brand and build some logos out. We'd be more than happy to help you out if you have any questions. So, we're in the Wanderers Club Facebook group every Wednesday. So just leave your comments or your designs because we'd love to see those in the Facebook group. And until next week, get out there and do some designing.
All right.
See you
Love it.
later.
Bye bye.